I'm planning to raise a baby on my own. You know, my life is messed up and I'm dreaming so big.
3 girls are about to become teenage mothers.
And I told you not to play with boys. You decided to do it.
I'm HIV positive.
Your body's not fully developed.
And I have to accept that I am pregnant and I can't change this.
How will these teens deal with early motherhood?
I can't focus.
And that was a short clip from a series called 16 and Pregnant that basically documents the lives of teenage mothers, right? Yeah. But with that, let's say good evening and welcome to Expressions. Did I like Jacqueline Mapala?
The big question this evening is South Africa failing to curb teenage pregnancy?
That is a very important question, and hopefully by the end of the show we'll be able to answer that. We know that thousands of teenagers end up pregnant, and statistics tell us that in 2015, 15,000 teenagers basically were pregnant in the academic year, Mko.
Wow, Jackie. Now, 16 and Pregnant is a series, of course, that was filmed by my students, was the Angel Fish. That's a school in the north of Johannesburg that reflects the plight of young Tato. Let's just quickly have a look at this clip.
Come, let's do the exercise for the day. 1, 2.
Tato is 16 and lives in Rockville, Soweto.
Come on, Tato.
Her parents divorced a few years ago, but she's still close to her dad. She lives with her strong-willed mother and her great-grandmother.
Fine. Coming to see Granny.
I missed you a lot.
Tato is a typical teenager who likes nothing more than to dress up, dance and party with her big circle of friends. This year she fell hopelessly in love with an older guy called Muketi. One night, she snuck out of her mother's house to party with him. That night they had unprotected sex. Tato loves Muketi, but she doesn't know if she can trust him, now that they've discovered they are going to be parents. She is 16 and pregnant.
So you like complaining when I told you not to play with boys? You decided to do it. Just throw the washing baby down.
There's many stains, I can't do it.
No, who's supposed to do it if you don't do it? Who's supposed to do it? Because you will be washing for your baby, so you must start learning now. Keep on washing, I'm coming.
My mother's auntie is very bossy and strict, but we are very close. She's very supportive.
Powerful insert there, obviously showing us the reality of what it is like to be a teenage pregnant mother in South Africa. And we have Tato actually in studio with us, and she's going to be helping us to unpack that. And of course, in my panel of guests as well, I'm joined by Whitney Chinogwena, who is the brand and communications lead for Murray Stopes, South Africa. I'm also joined by Troy Martins, who is from the Department of Basic Education. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to this conversations, ladies only. But of course, I'm over here if you're wondering what's happened to my co-host Mkolisi. He's obviously on our social media side, and he's going to be giving you a lot of perspective and insight from you, Kochaya, on this topic that we're discussing. But ladies, let's get straight into it. And I think, Whitney, I'm just going to start with you. I mean, I think just before we were having conversations around how do we talk about this differently? You know, a lot of young people are watching the show right now and they feel like, but we've heard this before. 15,000 is a number. Are we approaching this issue from the right angle? Are we asking the right questions?
You know what? I think for so long we have been talking about teenagers and not actually hearing from them and what their actual experiences are, you know. And when we talk to especially young girls, about sex and pregnancy. It's always linked to intergenerational sex, stay away from the sugar daddies. It's always linked to coercive sex. And we don't actually talk to them about, you know, solidifying relationships with their young partners that they may be with, and where they can access the right information and the right services for them to practice safe sex and to, you know, make the right choices for themselves.
And you know, when you speak about right choices and information, it was interesting when I was listening to Tato's mom on the clip there saying, you know, but I told you not to play with the boys. I told you. So I mean, there seems to be an information almost, I don't know, gap, if that's the right way. And I want to bring you through here, Troy. How do we bridge that? I mean, we talk a lot about education is key, but I mean, we're still hearing the same type of sentiments and rhetoric around, don't play with boys are dangerous, what, and so forth. Yet, I mean, obviously that's not necessarily making any kind of impact on this issue.
And I think that's why the new pregnancy policy that we have in the draft phases at the moment, combined with our HIV, STI and TB policy that's recently, just last month, been gazetted and passed as a policy, and that takes into consideration comprehensive sexual education in schools, which has been lacking. Clearly, from when you combine the statistics you've been talking about around teenage pregnancy, coupled with the HIV new infection statistics, it is absolutely clear that our young learners are engaging in unprotected sex. And this is why it's so important that we be more open and honest and talk to them in their languages. And that's why, as these shows like 16 and Pregnant, there's another one that the department has been involved in called, I think it's called Sugar. These are so important because it speaks to these young people in their own language. It shows the hardships that someone like Tato has to go through.
And I want to bring Tato in. I mean, you're hearing Troy talking about the policy, the education. I mean, you know this very well. We saw you on the clip. You know, you was Noelle Mamahao, and she was the one who's like, you must know how to watch these things. Who do you expect to be doing these things? I want to know, what kinds of conversations were you having with your mom before this happened? Because, I mean, we spoke a little bit about education and so forth. But what were you talking about? I mean, do you feel that you were informed and given the right kind of information?
The conversation I was having with my mom, we were always talking about boys most of the time. She always told me that I must stay away from boys and be on my books, focus on my books. She doesn't need any small babies. So, nalula acho no Tato uye ko skolong ubale utlele bashimane.
But naring ha bua ka lwena ka sex. Would you go deep into conversation ya ngwana ka sex into so you know, he ke re o ska dlala le bashimane, this is what I mean.
Ka topic ya sex. Nanjetse Tato ke re la tseba ko skolong bana lutla ba jetse ka di condom. So I was so bala le bashimane go sebedisa condom. And every time I notice a topic, I keep like, "Ay, Mama, I am not doing that. I was protecting myself." Yes, keep busy, come on, yeah. So,
okay. So, we're definitely going to delve a little bit deeper on this issue. I think a lot of very important issues are coming to the surface, but we'll have more after this. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Usahlezi nathi la Expressions Gunga Phambili, your #1 youth current affairs show. This evening we're talking about teenage pregnancy. Siyabuza phela ukuthi, is South Africa failing to curb teenage pregnancy? Ngabe sesihlulekile na siyisizwe? But first, let's just quickly head to the streets and find out ukuthi street journalist sethu sisiqosheleni.
Good afternoon, viewers at home. My name is Lisa M, and I will be your street journal for this afternoon. Well, this afternoon we'll be talking about teenage pregnancy, or rather, let me say, young adults pregnancy. What's your take on teenage pregnancy?
Well, I feel like the reason why we have a relatively higher number of teenagers who are pregnant is because there really isn't a mediator or people to talk to them about the dangers of having unprotected sex or not going on contraception contraception and so forth. And I feel like if there are people who are actively engaged in and talking about such issues and conscientizing, especially the young women, that would curb the rates.
Your life comes to a stop. There's a lot of sacrifices that one has to make when they're pregnant as a teenager. It affects their whole life. The academics.
I think because it has always been known that the mom is the one to nurture the kid. Okay. So as such, now guys have a thing to be like, oh no, I'll be there, but in the background. Right. For them, it's always a thing where it's like, I'm there, but in the background, because the baby has to stay with the mom. Right. So if you guys are not married, the baby is basically yours as the woman and staying with you as a lady.
What does teenage pregnancy actually mean to you as a guy?
To me as a guy, it means person's mistakes, both a guy and a girl. Because obviously I sometimes don't understand why do people blame only girls, whereas it's pertaining, yeah, it's a two extreme, it's pertaining both guys and girls.
So guys, do you think it's our fault as young women? I mean, what does the guy have to do with all of this?
With guys, I feel like they're also influenced by friends. Your friend will just tell you, just leave that child with his or her mother. Like, they don't want to get involved in any way. So I feel like it's also sad for our parents, like, as in like my mom, to look after my child.
Is South Africa failing to curb teenage pregnancy? Now, that's the big question that we're asking you this evening. Do join in the conversation. Sikhona ku Facebook as Expressions, as well as on Twitter as Expressions_10. Ungasfonela phela futhi on 011 714. That's 8052. Let's get the conversation going. And of course, I'm joined by Miss Fire kanye no Siyabulela. Good evening, guys, and welcome to Expressions.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, nice to have you on the show. Loosen up, guys, you're on Expressions. Siyabulela, mfethu, mina nawe besakhuluma. Right? Wena uthi the time also 10 or 23. Basu ubaba of 2 children.
2 points.
Tell me, kahle thina masidlala ibhola estradini senza zonke lezi zinto wenzani?
Ngathi ngizokutshela into eyi-one.
Yeah.
Ekasi, why? If awuphuza.
Oh, phakamise mic.
Okay, ekasi miyawuthi.
Yeah.
It's either uyaphuza,
yeah,
uyabhema, wenza zonke lezi zinto, uyangithola. So whatever uyenzayo mawuyenza ikasi esikhathini esibhayi, uyangithola, wenzani? Wenza ngokuthi nawe ufuna ukufitha in ekasi ngezinto ezenzakalayo ekasi. And teenage pregnancy most of the time is not based on girls. Because right now this thing is focusing basically on girls. It's not actually about girls only, because these things start with the relationships that we're starting to have in high schools with the same girls. These girls are not being pregnanted by older men. They're being pregnanted by us also, the same peers in schools. After that, the child is born. Who's responsible is the girl. Everything goes to the girls. But I find myself being a dad at the age of 21. By the age of 23, I had 2 boys who have to be blamed by that. It's me, not my parents, not the next person. But what do you do from that? Do you sit down and say, no, I have done wrong, you regret? But the moment you regret, you're losing yourself. I was trying to find myself at the age of 21. I became a father. I lost myself throughout that period of time. By 23, I was done. I nearly get to a point where I kind of miscalled ukuthi. So this thing of teenage pregnancy, it's something which kumele sikhulume ekasi ekolweni kakhulu. And masikhulume ekolweni, asikhulumi si-highlight siyifihle, sithetha njengalendlela ingayo. Singabe sibhizi siqhatha abantwana ba esikolweni kuyamithwa kwenza ntontoni nantontoni. Njengoba usisi bekayithethile lapha ukuthi we have to say it in the language that the kids do understand. If it's a Xhosa speaking school, you go there, find a person othethe isiXhosa, athethe lonto le ngalendlela ingayo. We don't sugarcoat things so that we can prevent this teenage pregnancy thing.
Okay, Ms. Faya, ngifuna ukwazi if you agree with him as a female, a female rapper. What is your take when on teenage pregnancy? Ngicela umphasele i-microphone.
I mean, on my point, as the guy is saying, because sihlale nabo phansi labantwana, sikhulume nabo, sibatshele ukuthi yazini mntanami, okay, as a parent, be open to your child so that your child can also be open kuwe. You understand? Hlale phansi niqoqe nomntwana wakho ezumzali akutshele ukuthi okay, angasabi nje ukukhuluma nawe. Na ungasabi ukutshela umntwana wakho ukuthi mntanami kule age yokuyo manje. Kuzinto ezisoso ezizenzakala, but ngicela ukuthi
Yeah, an open relationship in a way, absolutely.
Let's be friends, because like, they must go and do whatever they do, but talk to them like ababe close immediately appear.
Yeah, you must know. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's just quickly find out, because we have Mbuso Wakashange on the line. Mbuso, good evening, Buti. Mbuso? Oh, we've lost Mbuso, but... So when Mbuso corner?
Yes, Njani.
Oh, Njani Butwami.
Ngiyaphila.
Sikubingelela sikwamukele expressions. Ufuna ukuthini kithi namhlanje kusihlwa?
Yeah, but ngifuna ukukhuluma ngale topic engikhuluma ngayo. I think mfethu uhulumeni wethu uchannela maybe ama-program endaweni wrong, because we find ama-solution are temporary and permanent. I think we have to deal with mind of young ones, not to introduce ama-condom and bafundiswa kuphela, but we have to cultivate umqondo ukuthi they understand what they are getting into mabenza lezi zinto. So we have to find a solution ezokwazi ukuthi ibe a solution permanent, not a temporary one.
Absolutely. Okay, sibonge kakhulu Mbuso ngalo mbono wakho. Jackie, perhaps I need to throw this to Troy on the panel. As you've heard, Mbuso says he feels most of these initiatives and funds are directed absolutely at the wrong place. What would your take be at it in making sure that we instill those values of ensuring that we spread the word about teenage pregnancy?
I think we dedicate around 230 million rand annually to the HIV life skills program, and this is really a plethora of programs that are aimed at teaching learners about the skills that they need to tackle these types of issues. One of the things that I wanted to mention when you're speaking about talking to learners in their own language is also getting learners to talk to each other. So we have quite a comprehensive peer education program where learners can talk to each other about the experiences that they've had, and we found that that's quite a successful method. But like I mentioned earlier, comprehensive sexual education in schools is coming. It's something that we need to be aware of as parents and learners, that we are going to start talking openly and honestly about sex, about what options learners have if they do fall pregnant, what they should do to prevent falling pregnant. And this is in line with, it works for both HIV prevention as well as learner pregnancy prevention. So these are just some of the initiatives that we have. But I think one of the biggest things that we need to remember is that talking to young people about sex, there's this misconception that it's going to get them interested in sex and get them to have more sex, which is not true. They need to know what they're getting into, they need to know what options they have and what they should do if they do want to engage in sexual activities.
Okay, thank you for that. And of course, lapha ekhaya ngabusahlezi uyazibuza ukuthi sikhuluma ngani, siyabuza ukuthi is South Africa losing the fight against curbing teenage pregnancy? And of course, there's more on this all-important discussion as well as touch base with your social media interaction after this.
If you just joined us, you're watching Expressions, and today we are speaking about the also important conversation around teenage pregnancy. And of course, the poll question that we're asking you this evening is whether South Africa is failing to curb this particular issue that we are dealing with of teenage pregnancy. And of course, I'm still joined by my panel today who are helping me sort of delve into this. But we're going to now take a caller. Hello.
Yeah,
hi, Ntombi. How are you doing?
I'm good.
I'm good. What is your comment on this issue that we're discussing?
Yeah, ngithi mina kunzima ukuba umzali oyi-teenager, because mina ngumzali oyi-teenager owakholela esikoleni, and then baba wengane ngangifunda nesikoleni wangishiya. Kuyimanje ngikhulisa ngedwa ina 3 years.
Sure. Wow. So, I mean, you heard that, and just maybe just a short translation. It was just Ntombi talking about the fact that she's a teenage mom. She was a teenage mom, and at some point she really did feel abandoned, and she felt that this was a responsibility she needed to take on her own. And I think maybe this is something we need to bring on board. Every time we speak about teenage pregnancy, there's constantly an inordinate focus on the female. You know, when we say 15,000 teenage mothers, where are the teenage fathers? Where are the teenage fathers? What are we doing to get them to understand that this is also their responsibility?
Yeah, and You know, I agree with that 100%. We go into school sometimes to talk about sex ed, you know, and you get there and they've separated the rooms. You know, it's a room full of girls and the boys are out playing soccer outside, you know, because this is not something that we put on boys, but it's something that we definitely need to. And it's something that we need to take away solely from the schools, because we're speaking about policies at the moment which haven't been implemented, right? So what we need to do is to address what we can do now. Let's appeal to the parents out there to talk to their children openly about sex, you know. Do your research, speak to them, you know, give them the information that gets them to embrace their bodily autonomy and get them to start, you know, making the right decisions for them as well, you know. And even for the teachers right now who haven't been trained, you know, do your research, speak to your students, because this is where they're spending most of their times. And we may talk about peers and talking to each other. This is where myths are getting spread, because, you know, everybody's telling each other, oh, I drink boiled Coke and I didn't get pregnant. And then I tell the next person and then it spreads on and on. So I think what we need to appeal to is the adults in society to start talking about sex in a more supportive way and a more understanding way, and a way that is not stigmatizing. And then that way we can actually reach the young people that we want to reach.
And I don't want us to talk across Tato, who is, you know, I mean, obviously you being here and allowing us to understand the reality of what it is like to be a teenage mother. I mean, there are lots of young people right now who are watching you, who probably have been exposed to some of the information that the panelists are talking about today. What do you want to say to them? I mean, how do you want to encourage them, hopefully not to make the same mistakes that you've made?
I want to encourage them. I want to tell them that they should know that you can prevent yourself from pregnancy. You should use condom, and you should go to your clinics, your local clinics. You do preventions. There are types of prevention that are there. And you need to tell yourself that I need to be focusing on my schoolwork mostly and leave many things at the back.
No, I hear you. I hear it. I'm sorry to be cutting you, but I do get definitely the sentiment that is coming through. And unfortunately, we have run a little out of time, but I really do think that we've gotten the gist of what is important about this particular issue. And I need to mention the fact that the full documentary will actually air on Tuesday at 10 p.m. on SABC 1. I'm going to now throw it back to Umkolisi. Okay, oh, you're coming through. You're coming through to me.
You there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm joining you.
Perfect.
And of course, it's been a nice show as always, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for coming.
Ms. Faya Sabulela, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us this evening. And of course, I think now Kumbula the saying in Makai, I think amantombazana sekhaya bewahleza tshelwa njalo uthi hey wena boys before books bring babies. The 5 B's. Yeah, but otherwise, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's always good having you. See you guys. Gave the gay Elzaya. Do have a spectacular evening going forward.
Adios. Bye.